the channel, bringing smiles to the world. We're hitting first base. Marty Lurie with friends. Home run, you know the ways and the trends, the stories all with the match of the block. It's Marty and friends. Marty and friends.
All right, great to have you with us tonight as Ruby leads us in, as she always does. It's Marty Lurie and friends talking ball, and we've got a great group tonight as we get ready for game 2 between the Giants and the Phillies. And the Giants win it last night 3-1 with the help of Phil Cuzzy, the umpire. Thank goodness for Phil. As I always say, you can count on Phil Cuzzy to do something that will affect the game. He never disappoints. But with us, Eric, of course, from Giants Sports Talk Live.
Yes, sir.
We've got Evan Lurie. Yes, it is Evan Lurie, a return visit for him. And he knows the Phillies. He's a big Phillies fan, and like having Ev on tonight. And then our special guest tonight, he's been with us on the radio for the last few years. And when you look at people who are the analytical people of baseball, there is, in my opinion, there is no one better than Mark Simon. And he's with Sports Info Solutions. And, of course, it's Mark A. Simon Says on Twitter. And, Mark, we're thrilled to have you, and we like the shirt you're wearing.
Yes, that is, if I'm not mistaken, that is something that you gave me when we met up about a year ago. And I do want to say, too, that I am someone that doesn't particularly like to be on camera, but I'm doing this for you, Marty. And I like your theme song. I like your theme song better than my theme song.
All right. I'll let Ruby know that. That's very good. Hey, we're thrilled to have you. As I said, Mark is with us every weekend and comes up with some good stuff. But let's talk a little Giants ball. First of all, the Giants are 6 back, and the Dodgers are struggling a little bit. They've lost 4 in a row. They're winning tonight 1-0. And, Mark, I'm going to start with you on this one because the Mets took Mizorowski apart, and he has gone 3 innings against the Dodgers tonight. Ohtani took him out, but he's got 8 strikeouts of his first 9 outs. And that is Mizorowski tonight with it. So let's talk just a little Dodgers to start the show. And they've struggled a little bit. The Giants are only 6 back right now. So let's start with that. Eric, why don't you kick us off with that, and then we'll come to Mark.
Yeah, I tell you, I mean, yesterday, you had a big win. And today you're going to have the Giants facing off against for the second game. You know, and there's one thing the Giants have had issues with, right? With the beginning of the series, they've always had to seem to have a difficult time getting that first game in the series. You know, they won this, they split in Arizona. They got the series in Sacramento. The physical location of Sacramento, because they don't want to be known as the Sacramento A's. So, yeah, it was great to see them come out yesterday with that first win. Today, you know, we got Taiwan Walker. Giants like they like to face the righties. They like the righties better than
they like Taiwan Walker. I think there's one game a couple of years ago he went a third of an inning, and he was gone. And don't get nervous. It is Taiwan Walker. But all right, let's get.
This is his first time back in this starting rotation in months. So I think for us, and we're facing a lefty. And, you know, the Phillies do not do well against lefties as well. So they have that right-hand heavy lineup.
And not just any lefty. Not just any lefty.
Yeah. So, you know, I would agree that I think this one would kind of line up for the Giants. But that's why they play the game. Isn't that right, Marty?
Apparently someone did that once. But let's go to Mark here. Let's talk Dodgers just a little bit because they are struggling. And the Giants have won a few in a row, and they've cut the lead to 6. You know. Yeah,
but still, like, they're 6 up. They're way more talented than any other team in the division. They have way more depth than anybody. They can survive a lot. I just looked at the Fangraphs probability to win the division, and it's still 95%. Yeah. So one thing at a time here, I think. Mookie Betts hasn't hit like Mookie Betts typically hits. That's one thing that I think is noticeable for them this year in particular. Will Smith has hit way better than he's typically hit. That's another thing that's noticeable. He's got an OPS that matches Shohei Ohtani's at this point. They've got 1 million guys injured, as we know. Roki Sasaki among the pitchers, but they are getting Glasnow back. He'll probably be back for a couple months, and he'll get hurt again. That seems to be his baseball life. Unfortunately, I guess the thing that you would be a little hopeful about, whenever Tanner Scott faces the Mets, he crumbles, and his ERA is like 3.75, and I feel like he's a more hittable closer than people make him out to be, and I think that they might have a little bit of trouble at the end of games this year, whether it's him or Yates or whoever they go with at the end of games. They might have, we know they're going to have some trouble starting them because they've got all these guys hurt, but I would be a little concerned with who's going to be finishing them as well. Yeah,
they brought Diaz up today. That's Edwin Diaz's brother from the Reds, who they got in a minor trade, and they brought him up today. So he's back in the big leagues. So that's they're probably going to go with him a little bit. But let's talk Giants and Phillies here. I was thinking about it. Who knows how this thing's going to end up? I think the Giants are going to get in. I think the Phillies are going to get in. And who knows? The Giants and Phillies could play each other, Ev. You know that? This could be a little precursor. The Giants lead the series 3-2 right now, the season series. And it's always good to win the season series. You never know where that could be a factor. But these two teams could meet. You know that?
Yeah, anything can happen. They're both. The Phillies probably have a little better chance at their division. But yeah, look at all these wild card teams. There's 6 teams separated by a game or two. So yeah, anything can happen. And obviously, I think the Giants have always matched up well with the Phillies. Who knows why? Who knows why? But whether it's the great bullpen, so it kind of neutralizes the Phillies at home, or the ballpark in San Francisco. Who knows why? But I think maybe they're still a little shell. Maybe we're all still a little shell shocked from 2010. I don't know. But whatever it is, you don't love seeing the Giants, and I think it's like anything in sports. They play the game well. Usually, they don't beat themselves, and you don't want to play teams like that. So, I'd rather play, Milwaukee.
Yeah, look, the Giants have beaten the Phillies, I think, 18 of 21 at home over the last few years. So you can add it up. But Mark, Evan brought something up, and that is defense. Schmidt is back at second base now, and it's huge getting him back, and Chapman's back at third. And as I say, there's no more Fitzgerald, there's no Wisely, there's no Koss, there's none of the extras. This team is sort of set now, but they play good defense, especially second base.
Yeah, this is a matchup of two teams that are on opposite ends of the defensive performance spectrum. Sorry, Evan, but it's been rough for the Phillies this year in particular. Yeah, second base for the Giants this year. This will sound maybe a little funny just because of how you think of it. And if you're someone that's followed the Giants for 20, 30, 40 years, this is the best that it's been for them defensively at second base. If you go back through the last few years, Brandon Crawford had trouble with double play partners for a while after Joe Panik was out. Before Panik, they had a couple of guys that were all right, but they didn't have anyone that was particularly good. There are the defensive metrics, and we don't have to get into the nuts and bolts of how they're calculated, but they essentially measure effectiveness for a player at his particular position. And if you look at second base for the Giants this year, the combined effectiveness of all the guys that you mentioned, it is the best in baseball this season. So they add up to more than Marcus Semien or Nico Horner or any of those other guys that you consider really great second basemen. And not only that, but if you look at the Giants since 2003, when these stats first started to exist, the Giants have the third worst second baseman defensively over that 20-plus year period.
Wow.
This year, they're the best. And this year, if you froze the season right now, they're better than anything that's come before it.
Wow. All right.
That is something. Would never thought of that.
When you got Webb, who's a ground ball pitcher, and Birdsong would like to keep the sinker down, Roop as well, that second base is pretty important.
Yeah, they turn ground balls into outs, whether it's hit to Chapman or whether it's hit to second base. Shortstop's been a little shakier, I think. And Adames now is going on 2 years in a row where he hasn't been particularly good defensively. First base, though, whether it was Lamont Wade or whether it's Dom Smith, they're decent there. At worst, you would say that they're decent. You might say that they're above average. So, yeah, this is a team where ground ball defense is a priority. They give up as many ground balls as any team in baseball. And kind of an under-the-radar thing for them that they've been really good at second base, whether it's Tyler or Wisely or Koss or whoever. Yeah, they've all been really good.
Yeah. Ev, what's the state of the Phillies here? Let's concentrate on them a little bit right now. We saw them last night, 1 run. They're 0 for 22, I thought Tom McCarthy said, with runners in scoring position, which is quite amazing when you look at the hitters they've got. Harper hasn't hit a home run since June. Now he's back. Well, what's going on with the Phillies right now?
I mean, they're an imperfect team, right? You know, Mark said it best before. The Dodgers have the biggest ability to take lumps on one side and make up for it somewhere else. The rest of these teams don't have that leeway, and Phillies are just one of them. Got great starting pitching. They have a bullpen, which, was just, losing Alvarado. And then they'll get him back for the stretch run and then lose him again in the playoffs. I mean, it's just – so hopefully they do something at the trade deadline. But, look, starting pitching is great. And, could have had 3 All-Stars this year. And the bullpen is rough. And then you look at the lineup. It's like everybody. They've got some great players, but – they're in first place in the NL East with their best hitter being out for the last 6 weeks. So something's there, and you have to assume that he's going to get back to himself, hopefully. I mean, all this stuff about, I was kind of looking at some of the Phillies blog stuff today, like, is this the end of Bryce Harper? And please, the guy's been out for 6 weeks. He's hitting the ball hard. He just hasn't got it yet. So, Schwarber's doing great. I guess, but none of that really matters, right? The Phillies are an imperfect team and can be beat. They can go a whole series scoring 1 run, which they did against Houston, or they can score 13 the next game against Atlanta. So, unfortunately, in the playoffs, if you have a bad series, you're done. So, yes, I would say the Phillies are an imperfect team, but they can beat anybody too. They come in, and their lineup turns over and their starting pitching does its thing, the bullpen can close it out. They could still beat anybody, much like the Giants, just in a different way, it feels like.
All right. Mark, Robbie Ray is an all-star. He's going to pitch Sunday, so probably would not be part of the all-star game itself. He'll go. But 9-3, 268 earned run average. What is it about Robbie Ray? Is he? He's better than he's ever been. Mm-hmm. This isn't even Robbie Ray with Arizona. This is Robbie Ray number 4, and he's the best.
Yeah, and it's funny because he doesn't throw like 97, 98. It's like a 93, 94, 95 mile an hour fastball that nobody hits. He elevates it well. The slider in the complete game was excellent. The changeup has been really good for him in that it accomplishes something that I kind of talked about this. I might have talked about this on the radio with you about Logan Webb, that like the function of the changeup isn't necessarily to get an out. It's just to kind of change things up for the hitter. And then when he throws something different with a completely different look after it, like he throws the 4-seam, the hitter's bats are messed up. In fact, after a changeup this year, batters are 3 for 21 if that next pitch is a fastball. And if the at-bat doesn't end, it's a strike a lot, like 2/3 of the time. So it's a really effective 4-seam becomes a really effective pitch for him after the changeup. He's got a good combination of things that allows him to win, even though he isn't necessarily a 97, 98 mile an hour guy. By the way, I wanted to say something too about Christopher Sanchez, who was very, very good last night. That's 2 really, really good starts. If the Giants and Phillies play in a playoff series, they should be more afraid, I think, of Sanchez and Suarez than they might be afraid of Zach Wheeler, just because lefty with a good changeup crushes them. Nick Lodolo was another one earlier this year. So just a Philly thought that I wanted to make sure I got out.
Yeah, they're 9-15. The Giants are against left-handed starters with the win last night. Alec Boehm 4 for 10 against Robbie Ray, and Castellanos, believe it or not, 3 for 7 with a homer. And other than that,
Bryce Harper.
Bryce Harper's the guy. Yeah, 6 for 12 with 2 homers. Yeah, 6 for 12 with 2 homers. So that'll be the big part of the game. Ev, let's talk Taiwan Walker a little bit. Why is he in this rotation here? What happened to Abel and whatever you're doing? What happened here?
Yeah, Abel had a great start first time out. I think he threw a shutout or something like that. Then the second one was pretty good. And then he just lost command. He's a rookie. Probably shouldn't have been up anyway. So, he his last 2 starts, I think he walked the bases loaded, in the first few innings twice or something like that. He just didn't have it. And Walker, they were not sure if he'd even make the team out of spring. He had this big contract. They're just looking for a place for him because he had such a, rough year last year. And he kind of, looked like he put it together a little bit in spring. And, he's a pro. He's going to do whatever he has to do. But, he's just struggled. And I think, probably their hope is to get him twice through the order, maybe, if they can. He doesn't really fool anybody too much right now. It seems like, whatever he's throwing isn't. But again, he hasn't really pitched that much either because he hasn't been used as a starter in months. And I think he's been used sparingly because Joe Ross is kind of their longer relief guy. Again, what are we going to get out of him? I think, again, they'll be lucky to kind of piece together 4 or 5 innings and hand it off probably to a guy like Joe Ross or something like that. That's what we're looking at.
The Giants did see him the first time through. 5 innings, 6 hits, 6 runs, 4 were earned, but 2 homers, walk and 5 strikeouts.
Yeah.
Adames 4 for 8 with a couple of home runs against him. Everybody hits him. You don't have anyone. Ramos 2 for 5, Schmidt 1 for 2, Smith, who's in the lineup tonight, Smith 1 for 2, Yaz 2 for 10, Chapman 0 for 11. That may be an interesting one, and even Bailey is 3 for 6 against Walker. So that's going to be an interesting one. I want to talk, and I'll let you guys ask Mark some questions as well. But Giants seem to get hit a lot. Seems like every time you turn around, somebody's getting hit, and they don't hit anybody back. So let's talk about that. Let's take a quick break here, and we'll come back, and you guys can ask Mark some of those questions right after this.
Fans, I heard from Gene Bagato up in Bodega Bay, and he said his entire staff is geared up and ready to welcome summer travelers looking to escape the heat, and you know what I'm talking about. Down at the wharf, a varied menu offering everything from juicy hamburgers to the highest quality seafood. All those dishes await you. Hungry for a great meal? Check it out. For people looking to enjoy the relaxing Sonoma coast, the gift shop and fish market has everything one needs for a visit to the beach, from towels and swimwear to picnic items and beverages. It reminds me of growing up in Miami Beach. That's what it was like. And if you're looking to stay a while, the fabulous Inn at the Tides, with its spacious rooms and stunning views, awaits with its heated swimming pool and hot tub spa, as well as the Bayview dining room featuring the great creations of Chef Remy Madrid. So if you're interested in a fantastic getaway, not far from the Bay Area, you don't have to look any further than the Tides Wharf and the Inn at the Tides in scenic Bodega Bay. Hello again, Marty Lurie here to talk to you about my good friends at Georgie Brothers, the largest family-owned furniture store in the entire Bay Area. Right now, and good through August 4th, you can save hundreds of dollars on almost anything in the Stressless line. This includes sofas, sectionals, recliners, and the original Stressless chair and ottoman. And you know I have them in my house. Evan's got one, Bonnie's got one, Aaron's got one. They couldn't be more comfortable. Those Stressless chairs, they're fabulous. Well, the more you spend, the more you save. I own Stressless furniture, and I can tell you, once again, it's the most comfortable place I have to sit in my home. Visit them at GeorgieBrothers.com. That's GIORGIBROS.com.
All right. Ev, I think you got a stressless chair, right?
Yeah, secondhand. It's real comfy.
Nice.
All right, you got. All right, guy. Eric, go ahead. You have a question for Mark?
Yeah, it's Mark. There's a question. There's something we've been talking on my show here for a while, Giant Sports Talk Live. Patrick Bailey, how good defensively is he really? Yes, he's got a great pop time. He's got a great arm. He can frame pitches, but catching the ball, blocking the ball. Who is this guy? And I'm having issues. If he's not going to go out there and at least bat 220, and I'm not asking for much. 220 is all I'm asking, right? Oh, he better be immaculate behind the plate. So I would like to hear what you have to say about Patrick Bailey's defense.
Yeah, sure. I would grade him top 2 or 3 in baseball, if not the best. And I think that's been true pretty much since he came up. The value that he gives you is very much in the pitch framing. And that's worth a lot over the course of a season because he's getting calls every game at a particularly high rate. And when you have Phil Cuzzy behind the plate, as we were talking about last night, he makes a large strike zone even larger, and Patrick steals strikes all over the place. Additionally, the caught stealing percentage in baseball keeps dropping and dropping and dropping, and he's average or better in each of his 3 years in the major leagues, and he's been pretty good this year, 10 out of 36 throwing them out. That's actually pretty good. The blocking pitches is not a strength for him, but at the same time, not a strength for him means that, okay, he's just kind of like average at it. So it's not like he's bad at it. He's just average. And I know that there may be some upset folks at some recent wild pitches and such, but overall over the 120, 130 that he's going to give you, he's not only going to be good, he's going to be so much better than your other guy that you're going to be wishing that he was at least in the field every day, even though we acknowledge he can't hit. And by the way, I wanted to give a shout out to the guy who said 99th percentile in the grunting. Are we tracking that? Yes, 99th percentile grunting for Robbie Ray.
Yeah. We have the chat going, and this is
paying attention.
Yeah, very popular tonight, and
all right.
About Verlander, and I know that is an issue, at some point, but he doesn't kill you. He keeps you basically in the game. I think the bigger question is going to be Birdsong and Roop, whether you have to be in long relief all the time with them. Verlander, I think if you needed a game, he could probably pull it together, but we'll see. Eric, we have Bake That Dough.
Yeah, Bake That Dough. What's up, Aaron? Donates $2. Thank you. He says, I need a stressless chair for Doval appearances.
Yeah. Hey, why? I get this question all the time. Why isn't Randy Rodriguez the closer?
Yeah.
Is there an answer on that? He can't pitch maybe 2 days in a row.
I guess that's
they
what
want
it
to
is.
Put him out, but man, Doval is. When I grew up, there was Don Stanhouse, who pitched for the Orioles in 78, 79 in that area. And Earl Weaver, they called him Full Pack. Earl Weaver would smoke a full pack of cigarettes in the night, until he got somebody out. And this Doval is, God, it's like it's back again.
Yeah. It's very reminiscent. Go ahead. Go ahead, Mark.
No, I was just going to say, Marty, my dad actually with Edwin Diaz has a text that he does where he refers to it as either a 1-pack, 2-pack, or 3-pack save, essentially as a little tribute to Earl Weaver and what he said about Stanhouse.
Yeah, it's true.
Yesterday was a 3-pack.
And I'll tell you, Schmidt made a great play on the ball.
He did.
And then at first to turn that double play was
great on Flores.
Too. Yeah, and they were back. The Phillies are still in the game there. Have anything for Mark you have on your list there?
I
brought up the hit by pitch thing.
Yep. The hit by pitch is big. I don't know, Mark. What's been bouncing through your head lately?
I'll touch on the hit by pitch thing just for a second. If you look at the what is it? It's like 3 or 4 games now where it's happened 6 times. In every one of the innings that the Giants got hit by a pitch, they scored after the hit by pitch. So there are positive results that come from it, even though it's a really painful way to go. And so I did want to note that the Giants have made opponents pay for doing it, and perhaps that serves as a deterrent in the future, even though, admittedly yesterday, everything came in on a field of choice. So that was a little bit goofy. But there's actually a team that's been hit more than the Giants, and I was surprised by this. Last 27 games, the Giants have been hit 20 times.
Wow.
They've been hit 20 times in their first 65, so completely different. The Angels have actually been hit 21 times in that same span.
Wow.
So I don't know what's going on there, but they've been getting plunked a lot too, and they don't have necessarily a particularly impressive lineup either.
Well, let me ask you this. I have another question for you. Actually, you were talking about the pitcher tonight, Robbie Ray, and he throws 4-seam, changeup, slider, and a cutter. Throws a cutter also.
I don't think so.
Does
Curveball.
Curveball. Okay.
Yeah.
And so, does he throw the changeup to set up the 4-seam, or throw the 4-seam to set up the changeup usually, or what's his? What does he throw the most?
So if you're watching tonight, the changeup is like the occasional finish pitch for him. It's like a surprise kind of finish for him. The changeup, as I was talking about before, does set up the 4-seam really nicely. It sets up the slider really nicely too. I think as I think I was kind of getting at, it is like a setup pitch. It's like it's not necessarily there to get swings and misses or to get outs. It's to help him along, to give him something else. I forget what the interview was. It was with one of the Japanese pitchers about learning a new pitch. He wanted something. Oh, it was with Kodai Senga that he wanted something that would go up, right, left and down. That looked kind of messed up, I'm sure. But I think it's the same thing for Robbie Ray, is that he wants to have 4 or 5 different looks. And the changeup, which he had used a little bit earlier in his career, he learned it from Skubal this offseason. He doesn't throw it quite like Skubal does in Detroit, but it has been a very effective setup and the occasional sneak attack pitch for him, kind of like how the 4-seam is like an occasional sneak attack for Logan Webb.
Right. And it seems like his kill pitch is that high fastball.
Yep.
I see he gets a lot of swing through in those high fastballs.
Phillies did say the Phillies got him when they saw him earlier in the year, right, Ev? 4 innings, 6 hits, 4 runs, a homer, 5 walks, 8 strikeouts. He was all over the place. He does pitch in traffic, and when he gets traffic, he gets out of it. And I just happened to see, Mark, I love to do this one. Runners in scoring position, 2 out, 4 for 38. I mean, it's huge. So he
finishes innings.
Yeah, and then he gets out of it. But Giants, boy, if they don't strike out and put the ball in play, good things can happen. And it happened for Lee last night, who's really struggled. He got a run in. But Chapman is the guy with 2 strikes, the damage that he does. How about that?
Well, he got, 6 strikes in the 8th? How many was that?
Someone sounds salty.
He did.
I was watching the game with my 11-year-old, and she's like, "I'm going to bed. This is ridiculous. This is not an objective game anymore." I mean,
so all 3 of the hits last night came after he fell behind in the count, though. So that was impressive hitting from him.
Because normally, you get from Chapman, he likes to strike out often, so it's great to see because he's kind of picking up where he left off a little. He didn't do too good in Oakland. I was there for that game as far as the Sunday game. But yesterday, again, benefit of the as you said, Marty, the Phil Cuzzy effect was in
reverse.
Yeah. Well, the Giants, they didn't strike out that much. But did you see the clip today from Will Clark about Devers?
Oh.
I mean, Will Clark is fabulous. So they bring Will Clark in to work with Devers, and it's the 3-game series against the Red Sox. And we'll explain this. They wanted Devers out there early, working at first base, and Will comes in and he says, "Okay, I'll see you out there." And Devers never shows up for 3 days to work with Will. And Will, sort of said it the way it is. He said, "Look, Devers didn't want to be working out at first base with the Red Sox in the dugout, making fun of him or yelling at him or who knows what. He just didn't want to be embarrassed like that." So it brings me to Devers. The guy, look, we didn't see enough of on the West Coast. We didn't, because he's an East Coast guy. But is this it with Devers? I mean, are we looking at one of the scouts when I was in Arizona told me the bat is so high he can't get it down fast enough to catch up with fastballs anymore. But I'll throw it out to you guys. What do you see with Devers? Do you like him? Because look, he's here. Adames, I'm starting to like. Mm-hmm. He's getting his pitch and he's hitting it. But Devers, I'm still a little concerned about. Mark,
I like Devers. I like him. I think he's well. Look what's going on. A lot's changed in his life in the last 2 weeks. He's going from one coast to another coast. You got a new team, a new location. He's battling through an injury. You could tell he is not feeling well with that groin. So, but he's still going out there and he's taking his swings. He may, again, not, this time of the season, you may not be 100%, but you could tell he's battling something. And, and they're in the middle of a race. I think he's just got a little bit more prioritized items on his list that he wants to check off before worrying about first base so much. I think that's kind of getting blown up a little bit, right? Just a little bit. As you said, Marty, maybe he didn't want to do that in front of the Boston, the dugout, for whatever reason it may be. There could be a time that could be done. I think maybe that was a poor time as far as just timing is concerned, and him going out there and taking grounders at first. But to me, I would rather wait until the offseason. Let him go figure first base out. Don't try to do it on the fly. Let him be comfortable in the DH. Once he's comfortable, okay, let's experiment with first base. I like what I see in Denver. I mean, when I was in Oakland, he had a nice line shot to left center. It was beautiful. And within that in a bat before that, he had a foul ball that was a scorcher to left field. I mean, it was a scorcher. And it seems like, is he going to have his issues? Sure. With that high, as you said, Marty, that high, the setup when he takes his swings. But man, I tell you, lately he hasn't been striking. That's been fixed, it seems. Ever since the last 2 games in Arizona, it seems like he's kind of righting the ship a little bit. I'm not too worried about Devers.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes you get a guy in a trade and he got traded because he was doing too well for a bad team, right? And he gets it and he kind of hits the ground running. This was obviously not that sort of situation. The season started for him. Things were, kind of all over the place. So, yeah, I would 100% agree with you that you got to give this guy a full season before you make any kind of long-term predictions of how he's going to fit on the team. Adames had a whole offseason and, everything was kind of set up for him okay. But I certainly think you can say for right now, this is probably what you're going to get. I mean, have we really seen him hit for power? I haven't, but I watch a good amount of Giants games. I haven't really seen him hit too much for power. He definitely doesn't always seem like, he's on the ball, I mean, I don't see him, always doesn't feel like every at bat he's hitting something hard somewhere. So, for right now, I would agree that, you're probably getting a guy that hopefully is, only 75% of what he's going to be next year. But yeah, this year, this is probably what you're going to get. This is my feeling.
I don't have any big concerns with him. Not at this point. It's 20 games. I think you got to give it time. I think it's really. I didn't know the Will Clark thing. That's really tough to ask a guy who just started with the team. Oh, we're gonna take you out with a guy who's a franchise icon. So I'm borrowing this line. Meg Rowley at Fangraphs, when a guy gets traded, makes the reference frequently like, oh, one thing that we don't take into account is he has to now make new work friends. And I think he's still trying to figure out who his work friends are at this point and who he can trust and who he feels comfortable with. So I would score that one as a kind of a wait and see. And I think he's going to wind up being all right, at least in the medium term. I don't know about the long term, but I think in the medium term, you're going to get what you wanted out of him.
Well, Will said when Will is back in town, the next time that Devers is going to first base with him, whether he's got to drag him out of the clubhouse or not. So Will was very vocal about it in a good way, right. The way Will Clark talks. Tomorrow is Luzardo and Verlander. And as I say, Verlander just doesn't quite have that command. He just can't, that ball is up and it's his off-speed stuff. He just can't put it where he wants to put it, and it's rolling. But Luzardo is another story. Man, he started off, Ev, this guy looked like he was Cy Young starting it off. And then all of a sudden, 12 runs given up, 9 runs given up in a game. He just got walloped. He sort of righted the ship a little bit. They thought maybe he was tipping pitches. But what do we get with Luzardo tomorrow?
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly right. You said it best. He started out gangbusters. Then they thought he was tipping pitches, and he got just shelled for 2 or 3 starts, came back. So he's kind of been up and down. I mean, who was he when he was with the Marlins, honestly? I mean, I think this is somewhat inconsistent. This is kind of what you're getting. So you really don't know what you're going to get with him. I mean, he's got a plus fastball and good off-speed stuff. So he's got good stuff. It's just a question of, control, really. And again, is he tipping pitches? I don't know. So, yeah, I mean, and I think the Phillies will hit Verlander. He's just the type of pitcher that they usually, I think they'll hit him, but who knows? It's baseball. But yeah, no, I'd say that tomorrow will be a good game. Tonight's going to be, I think tonight's going to be a tough one for the Phillies. Tomorrow, kind of see how it goes.
Mark,
yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. I was going to ask if you want to talk about Luzardo, but Verlander, is he long for the rotation? I mean, I don't mean to be hyperbolic here, but just seeing what Verlander has done, there's now no doubt about it, he's been snake bitten. Bullpen has let him down a few times, right? So, but is he the guy, that we can expect to go the rest of the season without really too many hiccups?
You're asking me?
Yeah, I'm asking you, Mark.
I don't know. I would hope that there were better things from him, but I think it's tough because the fastball doesn't have the power behind it that it used to. He's got the other pitches, but he needs the fastball to have a little something behind it. My hunch is that if the Giants are in the playoffs, I guess 3 months from now, that the Game 3 starter for them is not on the team yet.
There we go. I like it. I would like to hear that.
You've got Logan Webb and you've got Robbie Ray, but I don't think Landon Roop is starting a Game 3. I don't know that Justin Verlander. I think they want Justin Verlander to be in position to start a Game 3 in a couple of months, but at this point, you wouldn't exactly think that was probable. You don't think that Hayden Birdsong is going to be the guy to start a Game 3. So I think the guy might be pitching on another team, whether it's I don't know, I'm making up names here. There's no rumors attached to this, but whether it's Germán Marquez, or Sandy Alcantara, or whoever, I think that there would be, if you're making the playoffs, there's another real go for it move along the lines of Devers. Do I think Verlander's going to be much better than what he is right now? I think that's tough because the guy's 42. Mm-hmm. How much does he have left in his arm? As the season goes on, there's nothing in the stats that would indicate that he's necessarily going to be any better. And I'm someone, by the way, that likes Luzardo a lot. And I think he is always dangerous and always capable of pitching a really great game. I know he had that bad stretch, but what he was doing earlier in the season was something that I was kind of expecting from him for a couple of years now.
Boy, this is going to be interesting. It was great. I thought Seth Lugo, Charlie Morton. Remember, somebody brought him up last week. I said, if he hits you, he's got it. If he always hits somebody. When he hits you, he's on. But that's a great point. If they do, I think they will be in the playoffs on some level, and they will probably need a Game 3 starter, and that's a great point. Because you got to have, look, it could be the series.
Right.
That could be it. And they're going to have a legit, that's a great point. So, yeah, I think they will have to go get somebody. All right, let's take one more break here, and we'll come back and talk about the Mets. Because the Phillies and Mets, let's face it, Ev knows it and Mark knows it. You got the Phillies on one side with Evan and the Mets on the other side with Mark. So I'm going to let you guys hash it out here when we come back right after this.
Fans, Bridge Bank delivers their clients full relationship banking, including treasury management solutions and global market services. Bridge Bank offers financing solutions to businesses for their working capital, equipment, and real estate needs. This is very important in today's world. Fred Voss is the Senior Managing Director of Bridge Bank's commercial lending efforts in Northern California. He has commercial banking teams in San Jose with Jesse Garcia, San Francisco, Oakland, Cheadle, Cordova, and in Pleasanton. Bridge Bank, it's like banking at home. I can't say enough about it. Fans, joining us is Grant Power, President and CEO of Nations. Grant, last year we talked about the amazing breakfast at Nations. I'm going to ask you this. What's your favorite lunch?
You know, I'm pretty split. I guess I'm kind of like a pitcher who has two favorite pitches they like leaning on. I'd say half the time I do the hamburger and half the time I do the wild salmon burger. It really depends on which protein you want. We love our beef supplier in Northern California. We've been with them for decades. We test our beef all the time. We sell ocean caught wild salmon. Friends don't let friends eat farm salmon. It's absolutely delicious. You know, to mix it up, I guess it's like a pitcher who has a two-seamer and a four-seamer, or maybe a four-seamer and a cutter. I actually go grilled onions on my hamburger half the time and raw onions the other half. Today at lunch, I got the French fries, but half the time I get the onion rings, and I had a wonderful slice of pecan pie. There's something for everybody, whether you like hot dogs or grilled cheese. It's really up to the individual what mood they're in, but my go-to is either the beef with the hamburger or the wild salmon, which is absolutely delicious.
Wow. I love it. Grant Power, President, CEO of Nations. Grant, thanks so much.
Pleasure being on.
All right. All right, as play starts tonight, the Phillies have a one-game lead over the Mets. Phillies haven't played yet, obviously, and they got not a great starter, Taiwan Walker, going tonight against a tough Robbie Ray. The Mets are playing tonight against that tough Baltimore Orioles team, and they're losing, I think, 5-2 in that one. So, Mark Simon, we'll start with you. What's up with the Mets vis-a-vis the Phillies? What's going to happen here?
Oh, no. Mets are getting beat, I do want to say, 5-2, as you said. Not only that, but the Orioles starter, Brandon Young, who's in his only in his fifth major league game, had an immaculate inning earlier in the game. 9 pitches, 9 strikes, 3 strikeouts, and done. Mets were up 2-1. Orioles scored 4 and took the lead on Clay Holmes. What do I think? I think it is a race that will probably go down to the season's final week. I think they are two very evenly matched teams. They are two teams that will definitely be going for it on July 31st with trades. I think the Mets' weakness right now, or perceived weakness of starting pitching, may be shored up very quickly here with the returns of Kodai Senga and Sean Manaea, which was supposed to happen over the weekend. I think they will probably go out and get a bullpen arm to add to the depth that they have. They may go out, and I don't know who they would get, but maybe they go out and try and get a center fielder as well, even though they like Tyrone Taylor's defense a lot. He doesn't hit very much. They are playing Jeff McNeil in center a little bit. They are two teams that can have long lineups at times, and I think the Phillies have the edge in starting pitching. But as we saw last year, at the end of the season, when it counted, the Mets had the Phillies number.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Mets the Mets lineup is very dangerous. And, I mean, you don't have to look any further than they swept them earlier this year. So, you know, when you kind of get down to the end of the season, like you said, I mean, you know, I think they'll be right there. Both teams are pretty similar in that they have flaws, but they both can hit and they can put runs on the board. And, you know, I would agree that the starting pitching for the Mets is a question mark. But I haven't seen, you know, the games I've watched them play against the Phillies, and they real well against the Yankees this weekend. So, again, I don't think that's going to stop them. I think it should be real close. This is a underappreciated rivalry. When I lived in Philadelphia, this was when the Phillies won the World Series. The Mets were their main, you know, kind of competition. And I remember whenever you'd have a Phillies game, you'd have a flood of Mets fans coming in from New York. So, And the same when you'd go up to New York. I went to a Mets-Phillies game at Old Shea Stadium, and it was, I was getting razzed the whole time. But it's a very good rivalry. Two closely pitted teams, and I think it's going to be real close. And I don't think either team has a real edge at this point. But to your point, the trade deadline will be very interesting because I think both teams have needs, right? So the Phillies need probably an end of the bullpen guy, another arm, maybe a bat, but I don't think the bats are the issue. I think it's shoring up the end of the game. So that's what I would put all their resources into, and we'll see what happens.
All right.
Braves seem like they're done though. I thought the Braves might somehow, make a U-turn, but it looks like what are they? Done. 12 games out now, something like that.
Mark and I said this in May that it's not their year. I remember when you were on this. It's not their year. The Marlins actually give people trouble.
Are ahead of them. Yeah.
Marlins give people, and they're killing the Reds tonight, 10-1. So this is a good game. I love these games. These are good games with good teams and good defense. I want to bring up the Philly defense for a second before we wrap this up. Philly defense is a little bit maligned this year, is it not? Am I right?
Well, Trey Turner has had a few little bobbles, let's say. I think like in the last 3 games, he's bobbled 2 double play balls that were in, moments that we kind of needed him. Last night, I think, was the one where he kind of dribbled over to second. He only got the guy at second. Otherwise, what are we really talking about? Real Muto is great behind the dish. I think their outfield defense is fine. I haven't heard that one other than Turner, who's had a few issues. But I haven't. Bohm seems to. I think he's made 1 error in the last 30, 40 games. He's pretty good. And so I don't know that one. But
should Castellanos got that pop fly yesterday?
That I have not. You've seen that happen a million times. As I said, is this going to happen? Right. But obviously, I think Castellanos probably should have had that one. But you never know what the communication is like, and they can't hear. It's all those seagulls; they can't hear anything.
And the wind. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt on that one. I do want to say that, okay, so Turner was 1. Castellanos, even though he has no errors this season, and his wife will tell you that he has no errors this season, he has a lot of could-haves and should-haves and almosts and didn'ts. And as a result, by the advanced defensive stats, he's near the bottom. Like him and Turner are the issues defensively. And it's funny because for 10 days he can flip the switch and he can be the best that there is and win playoff games and World Series games and be amazing. But over 162, he's a rough watch. Over 162.
And that's been him at bat too. And that's why he's been kind of that question mark on this team for the last 3 years. What do they want to do with him? But sorry, I forgot to mention Bryson Stott, who's their second baseman, is really probably their best defensive player, other than maybe Real Madrid. He is great. That's why I was surprised on that one because he usually takes everything. So I don't know where the communication. It wasn't quite behind first, where the second baseman really takes charge. But it was unfortunate. But Stott usually is their guy. So who knows?
All right.
I agree with Castellanos, though.
Well, the stats say that you can run on both pitchers, Walker and Robbie Ray, and you got 2 good catchers behind the plate tonight. So we'll see if the stolen base means anything tonight as well. Hey, great show. This is a pregame show, and now we got the game. Taiwan Walker, Robbie Ray. Tomorrow an afternoon game, Luzardo and Verlander. Day off, and the Dodgers come in. Mark, do we have an update on the Dodgers score? What's going on with the Brewers?
Brewers went up 2-1.
It's 2-1. Top of the 7th.
Brewers are up 2-1.
Top of the 7th.
That's what it was.
Yeah.
Top of the 7th, 2 outs.
How did Mizorowski?
They're up 9. Oh, sorry. Go ahead. I apologize.
21 swings and misses.
21 swings and how many strikeouts did he get?
12.
12.
12.
How far did he go?
6 innings.
Wow, he struck out 12. All right.
Wow.
This is
he's lanky, man. He's all limbs, isn't he? He's all limbs.
Yeah,
he gets it done.
It's Zach Greinke, except he can throw 101 miles an hour.
He's a 4-seam slider. Is that kind of his deal?
Pretty much. Yeah, pretty much. And very good. All right, this is good. Next time we'll do this, we'll bring the Cubs into the discussion because they actually may be the best team in the National League right now, the way they're playing. So
yes.
See. But all right, Mark, thank you so much. This is good, man. You're perfect on TV. You're great.
Yeah, you did great. That was awesome.
Yeah, we'll do this again. I want to
forget about the camera.
No, I want to get you on with Joe Sheehan too.
Yep, we'll do that down the road.
Ev, you're all over the Phillies. That was a good Phillies report. Where is my granddaughter? Where's Stella?
Stella and Alana are with your other granddaughter, Ruby, and your daughter, Bonnie. They're out to dinner. My sister, Bonnie, is visiting for the week. So they're over at somewhere around there. I trust that they'll make it home okay. And, so everybody's doing good.
Nice.
Hopefully they'll be back for the second half of the game.
All right, Stella's a good fan. Eric, great job. We'll let you guys go. Eric, let's take our last break. You guys, thank you so much, and we'll catch up with you. And I'll come back and wrap it up after this.
Hey, it's Marty, and I'm here to tell you that it's time to discover the islands, and of course that means River Islands. They're celebrating 10 years of bringing the good life to Bay Area homebuyers. What's more, Del Webb, one of America's best-known builders for active adults in the 55 and over crowd, has just opened 3 neighborhoods at River Islands. They're building a huge community center on its own lake, all for buyers looking for a great lifestyle and a little less maintenance. I like that. Homes are priced from the 600,000s. Start your tour online at riverislands.com. Isn't it time for you to discover the islands? It sure is for me. It's been a pleasure working with Rick Robin this year. Rick Robin, ROBBEN, NapaConstruction.com. Rick, the last time you were on with us, you told us about kitchen and bath remodeling, but there's a lot more going on up in your area.
Yes, there is. ADUs, auxiliary dwelling units, which are known as the granny units. We can do your existing garage, attached garage, even building a new unit in the back. And so what we do is come out, bring our architect out there. Such a great thing. No sewer hookup fees, no water hookup fees. So that's what we do.
Rick, how does one start the process with you? How does one get in touch with you?
Oh, you call Tammy, 707-332-7575, 7 days a week.
Rick Robin, ConstructionNapa.com. Rick, the thing I like about this, no problem for me. You come out with the plans, the permits, everything is in-house, no fees, and you get a new unit that you can rent out and get money back on your investment right away. I like it, Rick.
Thanks, Marty. Love talking to you.
Rick Robin, ConstructionNapa.com.
All right. Boy, that was a lot of fun, Eric, wasn't it?
That was some fun. I always love listening to hear Mark. And your son was great too, man. He brought in some great information about the Phillies.
Yeah. Ev knows the Phillies, and he knows baseball. He's a good baseball player. I want to mention one thing about Original Joe's. The Walnut Creek Original Joe's is going to open up maybe about 2 weeks.
Oh, wow. Nice.
Yeah, so that's a big deal. So absolutely, I'd love to be up there for that. That's going to be a lot of fun. Well, this is a game tonight. You think it should go the Giants' way.
Yes.
But, look, the Phillies are challenged here. And as Ev points out, you're looking at left-handed pitching against left-handed hitting. Mm-hmm. And that's the difference. And look, they did this to the Phillies in 2010. The Affeldt and Lopez would get Jimmy Rollins and Ryan Howard all the time. And that's how they beat the Phillies. Mm-hmm. And the Phillies still are vulnerable to that left-handed pitching. So Robbie Ray, you'd think, should have a pretty good game tonight. And the Giants look like a different team. And I think they're coming together. I really do.
They are.
You point out on the lineup tonight, Ramos is leading off tonight.
Yeah, he is. Ramos is leading off against the righty. Normally he's your leadoff guy against the lefty, so that's something a little bit different.
Yeah, Ramos, Devers hitting second, Adames, who's really playing some ball now. Then Chapman, who's 0 for 11 against Robbie Ray. Actually, I'm sorry, he's 0 for 11 against Taiwan Walker, if you can believe that.
Wow.
Then Yaz, then Schmidt, then Jung-Hoo Lee, and he did go the other way.
He did.
I yelled loud enough. We all yelled loud enough to make him go the other way, and he did. He tried to do it too. Don Smith makes contact, and against a guy like Walker, he's 1 for 2. Schmidt 1 for 2 as well, and then Bailey, believe it or not, is 3 for 6 against Walker. So Giants offense, you'd think, should be okay tonight against Taiwan Walker. As Ev says, they'll probably let him go 1 or 2 times through if he can do that, and then get him out of there and bring the bullpen in. So
you gotta make your hay there in those first 5 innings or so.
Yeah. I'll throw this to you. Home run derby. Acuna, James Wood, Cal Raleigh, Buxton, or O'Neill Cruz. Who do you like?
Ooh. You know what? I'm gonna go with O'Neill Cruz. That guy could crush it.
Could be.
I like that kid. He
all right.
could.
All right, now I'll give you this. Give me any 3 Giants, add up their home runs that they'll have this year. Will they have more home runs than hot dogs at Joey Chestnut 8 on July the 4th?
Yeah, did he eat 70? Wasn't it 70 that he ate?
70.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I think the Giants should be able to they should be able to accumulate more than 70, right? You said 3? You think you said it was 3 players?
Yeah.
Wow, man, the way Adames is. Ooh, and Devers, he's going to get hot eventually.
That's a good one.
That is a good one. That's a good one.
Chestnut may beat the Giants 3 in home runs.
He might, right? Oh my gosh.
Yeah, give me, I'll throw it out on the chat. Anyone come up with that?
Oh man, that's great. Oh, someone Dallas, this guy's great. When you find yourself singing Marty Lurie and Friends theme song in the shower, you've had too much YouTube.
I love it. All right. It's we got game time in here in about 10, 15 minutes. So,
real quick, before we get out of here, Marty, you concerned about Eric Miller and his elbow? Sounds like it might be Tommy John.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I'm concerned just from the left-handed side. Luke Casey was good. He's good.
He looked good yesterday.
He's looked good every time out there. He has been fine, and now I'm not sure what they're going to do with Alexander, because he got lit up by everybody. They're going to need a left-handed reliever. They're going to need a left-handed reliever. Yeah, that's a big deal. They got away with it last night with Lucchesi.
They did.
Is Lucchesi going to be the guy? Yeah, the Giants are gelling. They're gelling. And they know it. And they know it. And they're getting to a point where they're going to beat the pitchers they should beat. Like tonight, I would think they'll beat the guys they're supposed to beat, and then they'll struggle against the good pitching. And I think that's going to be enough for them.
There was a couple of things I saw during the A series. The first one I saw was on TV. Did you see the shot of Ramos and Devers and Matos and Adames? And they just had the biggest grins. They were enjoying. It seems like that speaks to what you're talking about, the gelling. And the game I went and saw, this was fantastic. It was Matt Chapman. Yeah. It was Birdsong. I think it was like in the first inning. It was him. He walked to the mound, and then out came Kisner, and he went and had some words with Birdsong. Basically, get your crap together. Come on, let's go. And Willie Adames did it in the 9th inning. He came out. He went to Doval, and those 2 guys were the ones that were instrumental in kind of setting the tone and saying, hey, guys, come on, let's go.
Yeah. And I'm telling you, 70 games to go. 70 is not a lot. The bulk of the season is played already. So when you got 70 to go, you know who you are. And they do have to make some adjustments in the bullpen, starting pitching. And I think you leave the offense alone unless you can get a right-handed hitting outfielder, the Randall Grichiks of the world, that kind of stuff. But I think they're in it. And they've done the bulk of their work already. And Webb and Ray are the real deal. And Roop and Birdsong, don't kill them, but just let them go their 4, 5, 6 innings and just bring them along as long as you're winning and you're in this thing. Because other than the Mets, Phillies, Brewers, Giants, I mean, come on, the Cardinals, the Diamondbacks, the Reds, I don't see it happening. I think the Giants are in good shape here. Padres could be trouble. Padres could be trouble.
Got to watch out for Preller. And there's something that you've always said this time of the year, right? This is the time for the front office, right? This is their time.
This is their time to step up.
Yep.
Yeah. Good. Great show. Eric, thanks. Ryan, fabulous. We love you. And we'll be back. I think we'll do a Sunday post game.
Ooh, after the Dodgers.
Yeah. That'll wrap up that, the ceremonial first half.
Correct.
So we'll do the post game on Sunday. That'll be fun too. Okay, cool. All right,
Sounds
Eric.
great.
All right. Thank you, everybody. And
all right, we'll see you, Eric.
Ruby Barmay.
Yes, absolutely. Here we go.
Thank you kindly. Enjoy the next week. We've got a whole bunch of baseball to speak on here at Marty